which is why.
No, Trilogy was never approved, it was tabled.
Trilogy was tabled, and then the mayor's appointment was for 30 days. This was in December. And so we're in March. And so I'm simply just saying, what does that do to all the things we have moving forward? Because the reason why I have this on the agenda is because when we had the conversation last week, we didn't know we were in limbo. And we don't want to have to put this on the agenda every meeting just to get an update on where we're at, to give us some direction, some positive direction. You answered the question I had, and I wanted to entertain council and some of the things that if it be what I talked to you about. We never really have thought about, we always consult out with different organizations. And so I was thinking, what if we look to bring in a city engineer full-time?
As an employee?
And as an employee. And what we would do, again, just hear me out. This is our opportunity to talk the first time. As an employee.
Well, let me double check. On the selection of an engineer versus the hiring of an engineer as an employee, does it fit with the agenda, and then we can go forward with it? I just want to make sure it fits with the discussion before we get deep into it. No, it says on the selection of city engineer.
Yeah, so discuss and possible action on the selection of city engineer position. I think how that person is selected and as what they are selected, whether it's an employer outside, is appropriate.
Okay, go ahead.
Again, I'm simply just bringing up what I was thinking about. The city of Prairie View, because we've had consultants to come in to do onesies and twosies, we need someone to help us map out where our city is at as an engineer, both what we have on the ground and what new existing things are coming. And this is an opportunity for us to look at our fees. Right now, in the consultant city attorney, as our consultants, city engineer works, an engineer charges, so if a person delivers some drawings, there's a fee for that. And I'm simply saying that same thing how we're gonna pay for the building official who talked earlier. There's an account to where based upon everyone who needs the city engineer services, that fee is adjusted to balance, to offset how much money a full-time city, or maybe more than part-time, and it didn't have to be full-time, but a more than part-time engineer, because there is our current new structures that should be paying for themselves, and then there is the things that we need to go back in reference to draw and map. Remember, our streets, we needed widening, we needed a lot of different things that needed some hands-on person to help. I don't necessarily know if those fees will fund them 100%, but I'm pretty sure that it can get us 70%, maybe 60%. And so I wanted to have a conversation to get all of us thinking on how do we, right now we have the city engineer up, and it's been up for several months. And I was just bringing another idea of maybe we're looking at this differently, and we need to think about bringing on someone more than part-time, maybe full-time, but a city engineer, and use the fees that people charge when they bring their plans, increase those to be able to offset 70%, because I think that because we're short-staffed and the people who needs the critical eye, the R1 conversation we just had, the design, that's what's missing, the engineer. And so the piece that we're missing is the piece that's going to cost us critically in the court system, as we just talked about it today. And so I'm simply saying, this is an idea. I don't happen to be the expert, but I'm just trying to figure out how do we really start thinking long-term moving forward, but how do we address this issue right now in getting an engineering in versus the consultant who's going to, again, a consultant is here for the money. And we need someone who, not like that. I mean, we need someone who's going to long-term care about the decisions they're approving or disapproving in our community. That's all I'm saying. And so I'm trying to see how this would help. And so this is my first time opportunity to bring this up.
Do you think this, because it's a major employment, potential budget change needs to be a workshop as well. So we can get into what the numbers look like, pick up on the discussion, because we can't make a decision without that, and we have to have a budget.
Yes,
amendment and-
but the only problem is, the city, we need a city engineer like now. We've been, for months and months, dragging us along, and I'm simply was giving us another avenue to think, since we've been waiting. But we need, the goal of to have this on the agenda every meeting is because we need a city engineer now. Like, we just discussed the situation, whether it be Panther Hill or on Oak Street, an engineer was missing from this process.
No, and I'm agreeing with the concern. What I'm saying is, there's a process, as you say, in how we do that. We can't just vote it without knowing what the numbers are, having a budget amendment, and things like that. So we need to gather the information that you're referring to so we can make an informed, intelligent decision. Yes, Councilman Randall?
Two things in response to Councilman Rowland is, for one, I do agree that when we think about long-term, we should have a full-time engineer, but that's, I think we should, ultimately, we should have everything under, in-house. But when you think about where we are like today, because you talked about, funding it through projects, but before we could do that, we have to have something in the pot to start with towards the city engineer, if you know what I mean. So, because the tasks that you described don't all fit in the mode where that money, the income is coming from. So we have to have something that we're going to pay, because it's not like, it's not like we're getting that many in every day, you know what I mean?
Right.
To where it's going to fund what they're doing from the day-to-day basis. And I think once we're getting close to the time where we talking about the budget. So once we built, and if we say like this is where we're going to go, then we need to start building towards that. And so once we get there, because we're going to be under contract, so whenever our contract decides, that's when we move forward to the next step is, ultimately, because now we built the revenue, we built those funding is available for that.
That idea is a good idea. The only issue is we currently, there's new development and things are coming in the city. We need someone checking on those and managing those like now. One of the things, Bureau Veritas does the inspections. There's a process for the city engineer like that we've been missing for 5 months.
No, that's not true.
There's a city engineer that should be signing off and looking at drawings before it even goes to Bureau Veritas.
And
that's our development process. And I'm saying that since we have not had that person for 5 to 6 months, that means it has not, that's a process that we need to fill. That's all I'll say.
Can you just
ahead.
name one? Just name one set of plans that haven't been signed by an engineer. Just one for the record.
I said the city engineer of Prairie View.
No.
No,
what I'm saying, for the process, we do receive plans, and I'm agreeing with you. We receive plans to go to Bureau Veritas, and the civil go to a civil engineer. Can you name one set of plans that we've not yet signed off?
What civil engineer does it go to?
Can you give me a set of plans that you're saying hadn't been signed?
Mr. Mayor, the city of Prairie View hadn't had a city engineer in over 6 months. That means that since then, the process that a city engineer would have taken, plans or drawings or whatever they would have looked at, we have not approved a city engineer. Except for, we voted it down when you brought Trilogy. You then moved to use Trilogy for a 30-day time frame that that started in December, and they only looked at the cricket field.
And
you
didn't vote it down.
It tabled. I mean, that's semantic, but I'm trying to get to the meat of the conversation. And the conversation is not it is that what I said was correct. There has been no city engineer for 6 months. From that, we're saying that we need we need an engineer. We talked about an impact fee that would have brought in additional revenue to the city that we've been talking about for a year and a half. that, again, the city engineer at the time, the mayor communicated, because we asked him, he said he was dragging his feet. Several times. And so we're saying that the money for the amount of money that we would spend, whether it is doing as a consultant, if we looked at all the projects that we needed to get done in this current budget cycle up until September, looked at the impact fee study that needed to be done for us to be able to assess developers who are coming in and bring in additional revenue, that has to be done by a certified engineer. There's a prime opportunity, and it pays a prime opportunity. And the second is looking at all the other incoming projects that need to be certified. And again, like you said, we don't have the figures to say if that amount is $40,000 or if the money is $80,000. Because remember, Economic 4B that just was in here, they approved to pay for the study a year and a half ago. And so that means now I don't necessarily know as far as contract and city employee, how could we get the money that we were going to pay for an outside entity as a consultant to use as a city engineer? And maybe that's for our legal professionals to try to see if we can do that. But we have enough projects if we just kind of step back and put together whether the 4 or 5 things until September that can get us the amount of money, whether it's $40,000 to pay for, that'll get us through the year. And then, so we saying, well, we can bring in an engineer at 75, 80, I don't know the number, I'm just putting numbers out. We do need to move this process into maybe a workshop. The reason why I'm bringing it up though is that time is of the essence, because we've already.
I move this item be tabled via workshop.
Second. It's been properly moved and seconded that item 9 be tabled pending a workshop. You've heard the motion, ready for the questions?
I have unreadiness.
Councilman Rowland?
Do we have a date on when we're gonna?
Could you possibly propose one, email 3 options, and then let council choose from there?
Yeah, I don't have, so then we push our process. So I guess at the same time, we're still doing the posting of the city engineers. We're drafting as the thing as a consultant. And so we'll put out the dates. You want me to send an email to Ms. Johnson with a couple of dates for us to set up a workshop?
But I think we should still move forward with our plan that we have in place.
No problem.
Call for the question.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it. Item 10, discussion and possible action on rescinding moratorium on certificates of occupancy. And just for the record, this is not my item, but Councilman Jones.
I move that we move item number 10 to the following meeting with the approval of our building official and the logistics, like with the policy.
Okay, it's been properly moved and seconded that item 10 be moved to the next agenda, pending policy and things of that. You've heard the motion, ready for the questions. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it. I think now we're at the point of executive session for item 7 and consequently item 8. The city, am I right, Counselor?
Yes,
Ready to
but
go
I
into
wanted to
executive
clarify what I was
Clarify
looking
10.
for. I'm sorry?
So I guess we approved 10 to go to the next agenda with the recommendations from Bureau Veritas.
With the policy of Bureau Veritas, what we want our building official to do, so that way when we pass it.
Yeah, it incorporates it,
Okay.
takes care of it. Yes, Counselor?
What I was looking for was which of these specific sections, was it under consultation with the attorney or personnel? Instead of just the laundry list is what I was looking for, the reason for executive session.
Regarding personnel, I think because it's a job appointment, it's a job position, so I would say personnel for sure. And consultation with attorney.
Okay, just for the
Read
record.
that back into the record? Okay, the City of Prairie View City Council reserves the right to adjourn into executive session at any time during the course of this meeting to discuss, as authorized by Texas Government Code Sections 551.071, consultation with attorney, and Texas Government Code, section 551.074, personnel matters. We're now in executive session.